This podcast could potentially have adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly the possibility of sexual content. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Drinking with Authors, the podcast. I am your host, Erica Lance. I have new glasses. Anyway, for anybody who's watching, very important things that are happening. I'm super excited about these. Today, my amazing co-host is Danielle Orsino. Woo! And our guest is Marva Riley. Woo! Okay. So, welcome. Let's talk about what we're drinking. Out of some of our Drinking with Authors swag, I decided to do something a little different. I suppose it's a little healthier, not giving health advice, but I used real cranberry juice with vodka and Sprite, the cranberry Sprite that comes out around Christmas time. So
very nice.
That's what's out. It's very fancy and it's a lot more bitter than I was prepared for, but it's good. It's keeping me awake. Danielle,
Nice.
Oh, looks like you have an amazing mug today. What are you drinking?
I am drinking a chai latte out of my Los, the dragon mug, in honor of Carlos's birthday.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
That is
so
amazing.
Out of my little Yorkie's birthday, who inspired Los the dragon, I'm drinking out of my Los mug.
Oh,
so there you go.
Perfection.
Awesome.
And our lovely guest, Marva, what are you drinking?
I am drinking in my Yeti. I invested in this Yeti a couple months ago and I'm loving it. And I have just some hot water with ginger, lemon, and a little bit of honey.
We're all being healthy.
Very cool.
Yes, I am. I teach. I have to practice what I teach, right?
Yes. No. Oh my
Exactly.
goodness. I love this. I'm the only unhealthy one. Somebody's got to.
No, you're drinking cranberry. You're healthy. It's cranberry.
It's cranberries. It's so bitter, Danielle. You have no idea. So bitter. Okay, Marva. For those that may not know, what do you drink? What do you drink? What do you write?
What?
Oh my goodness, I'm awake.
Wow, we're already starting.
Well,
is it that you write?
I write holistic health and wellness books, and
very cool.
I just published my third just before Christmas of 2022.
Oh wow! So
Cool.
where does your journey start then? Let's go back, because what made you decide to start writing health and wellness books?
Well, I have a health and wellness background because I have been a registered nurse for over 24 years. And
Danielle, there you go. Something in common.
My
right
nurses.
away.
oh, Danielle is a registered nurse.
I'm an LPN and PA school candidate. Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. I was an LPN for 2 years, and then I went back and became an RN. And I spent most of my professional career working in ICU or recovery room or the ER or something like that. And then I became the patient. I was very, very sick at the age of 38. I was diagnosed with cardiomyopathy. Daniel will know that term. And I was told that if I did not have a heart transplant, I might not live. That's what my cardiologist told me. So I did not want to do the conventional medical treatments. So I sought alternative care, and fast forward, I'm 61 and I am totally healthy. I have absolutely no health issues because I embraced a holistic, healthy lifestyle. And so that's what I write about, and that's what I want to tell the world about.
Wow. That is quite an amazing journey.
Yeah.
So when did you write your first book?
I wrote my first book in 2020. My first book is the Eat, Sleep, Meditate, a Nurse's Guide to Health. It's a memoir in which I shared my journey from, actually, I was a sickly child. I was not a very strong child. And I shared my journey from being unwell with life-threatening, heart disease and depression and anxiety and all that kind of stuff to wellness. And I shared how I did it. And I include recipes and stuff like that. And that was published in 2020. Then I used to, when I hopped on social media, because Amazon says for you to sell any books, you're going to have to get on social media, make a lot of noise. And I started a Facebook health and wellness support group, and I went on social media, and everybody was asking about these delicious looking healthy foods that I post. And they wanted to know what was in it, how did you do it? And every day I would just whip up dinner. Within half an hour, my dinner was ready. And my husband said, you got to put those recipes in a book. So my second book, SHEIR, that's how that was birthed. And then every year, people talk about losing weight, New Year's resolution to lose weight and all of that. And I see the yo-yo, and I know that I have a system that has worked for me for many, many years. And I thought, well, why not share it? And that's my last book that was published. It's called Lose Weight and Keep It Off for Good, Understanding the Weight Loss Game. And I dropped that one in December of 2022.
Wow. So I'm assuming, were you ever like, I want to write, I want to be a writer, this is something I want to do? Or did that mold from the health scare that you had and the lifestyle change you had to make?
It molded from the health challenges that I experienced, because the thing is that a lot of the health challenges that I encountered were related not just because of my poor physical lifestyle, but a lot of stress. I had gone through a divorce after 25 years, and that really left me messed up. And my sister would encourage me to journal.
Oh.
So I started journaling. I mean, I have so many old journals here, things that I've written.
I love that.
Yeah, I journaled, and that helped me a lot. And I kept saying to my husband, I want to write a book. I want to write a book about my story and tell people that they don't have to live with illnesses all their life, with one foot in the grave and one out. And that's how the first book was birthed, really, out of my experience and wanting to show other people that since I was able to reverse so many health issues, so can they. And that's how that one started. And I believe I will be writing multiple holistic health related books. I'm like fired up. And I see where people are enjoying them. They're learning. I get a lot of great reviews on Amazon, on social media, and in person. People are being helped.
So let's talk about that a little bit. When you decided to, so first of all, you decided to share something that was very, very personal. I can use all my words. Danielle, at any point you want to help me use my words, let me know.
I was going to say,
okay.
I gotcha.
So you decided to share something very personal, which is a little bit different when you're writing sort of a nonfiction, and especially about health and stress and things like that we're creating those so people can relate. Was there any apprehension when you started doing that?
No, there wasn't, because I realized that a lot of the pain I suffered, like during the difficult part of my marriage and eventually divorce, came as a shock to a lot of my friends and my family members, because I never spoke about them. I never talked about them. No one knew. They saw the beautiful, nice family. And there were a lot of good things about it, the marriage and the relationship, but things started going south and I never shared it. And I know that I know of many people who are going through and have gone through some of the things that I was going through and are going through it. And I felt that they could benefit from it. I also was at that point when where I was willing to share. I share. I mean, I'm okay with telling people about where I was and how I got to where I am now, because I know that my testimonial can help other people. So I had no apprehension about sharing anything about my journey, and we really should not, because there's healing when we share, whether in writing, on a podcast, interview, or just conversation one-on-one. There's healing for me, and there's help for others who listen or read.
No, I love that you said that, because having gone through something similar for me, divorce-wise in the past, one thing that was very interesting, you touched on this, you touched on a lot of things, but I wanted to touch on this, and I think this is true for a lot of people, is when I got divorced and later, like, you know, you have the what I refer to as the friend fallout from a divorce, where they land on either side. Very rarely is there somebody that can land in between, right, of a divorce. There, you either, you know, you break up your stuff, you break up pets, you decide where children are going to lie, but you also have a friend split up. Like you know, not that the two people who are divorcing get to decide that, but a friend split ends up happening, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember years later talking to somebody who ended up on his side of the situation, and they asked me some questions, and I shared with them, you know, what had gone on, what had happened, and they were like flabbergasted. They're like, "Well, I didn't know this," and I'm like, "Why the hell would I have shared it with you? Like, that's not something you go around talking about necessarily." You know, and it's interesting you said that, because I think a lot of times we don't necessarily share when we're in the middle of it as much as we should be sharing when we're in the middle of a situation like that. Mm-hmm. You know, and so I think that's very interesting. And then as you were, so had you ever written stuff like this? You were a nurse. I know you guys get to do a lot of writing and charts and things like that. Mm-hmm. Super exciting. I laugh because I know that's a lot of work. But had you ever done any like writing like this before? Because having the idea and wanting to share a story is great, but the actual writing a story into a comprehensive journey that somebody else could actually read is not necessarily like everybody can just sit down and do that, right? So what was that like?
I had never written outside of just journaling my thoughts, because when I was going through the illnesses, the physical illnesses, the emotional, mental illnesses, because I was going through depression and anxiety and trouble sleeping. At that time, I was going through early menopause. I was having arthritic pain, joint pain, sick, you know, and at the same time, a rough marriage, and I also had a teenage and preteen children to deal with. My sister said, you know, try journaling. So I would just get notebooks and just write my thoughts. And sometimes I was cussing. Sometimes I was begging God. Sometimes I was praying. Sometimes I was giving thanks. I mean, my journal was just all over the place, but I was writing my thoughts on paper, and that helped me a lot. But besides that, I never did any writing. But then when I decided to write, I did a little bit of homework, and everybody said, just put your thoughts on paper, which is exactly what I was doing with my journal. So I just got my computer and I just started putting my thoughts on paper. Then my daughter has a very good friend who's written like 12 children's books, and she's self-published and they're doing very well. And I called her, I said, listen, I have a book in mind. I'd like to publish it. How do you do it? And she said, just write and find yourself an editor. In 5 years, find yourself someone who can do any illustration, a book cover or something. And that's it. You can publish to Amazon. And that's what I did. My editor just took everything and she just arranged it in a really nice, easy flow read. And then I found the lady had referred me to someone who could do the book cover and upload it to Amazon. And that's how that was birthed.
Well, that is interesting. You said one of my favorite things for new authors, editor. You said
editor.
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 What was that like for you? So your daughter does, what kind of books does your daughter do?
Well, my daughter is a children's book. Well, my daughter has a full-time job, but she's written one children's book, but her friend was able to quit her six-figure job and just write children's books. And she's written, I think, 12 or 13, and they're doing very well, children's books. So yeah, she's doing very well. She's just doing very well because she's a single mom taking care of two kids, and she makes enough money to live off. I mean, I haven't gotten there yet, but she referred me to the person who did the book cover and build the website for me, because I needed somebody to do that, because I wanted to do some blogs. And then I went hunting for an editor, and my friend who is a teacher said, listen, there's another teacher that I work with who has published 3 historic books on Florida. And she also has a company that edits. And that's how I was linked up with the lady who was edited all 3 of my books. And we have a great relationship. We flow. She understands me. I understand her. And I can give her the raw material and she'll arrange it. And correct.
That's important.
No, I think that's fantastic. And is it the same editor you used throughout your journey?
The second book, my recipe book, SHEIR, I used that editor, and I actually used 2 editors, because I have another friend who is a teacher, and she started a company, an editing company, and I thought I would get her in because it's always good to have 2 different sets of eyes anyway. So both of them edited my second book. But my first and the third book, I used just that one lady to edit, and I'm very pleased with her work.
No, that's very cool. So so you did journaling. What is it like now when you're sitting down to write? Because you're not using journals anymore, correct?
I still journal I never turned my journal into a book, which I probably will in the future. I probably will just put everything I've journaled into a book forms, but I still journal. I still write in a physical notebook. For example, at the beginning or the end of last year, I wrote in my journal what my goals, dreams, and desires are for 2023. And I go back, and I go back, and I also like to journal what was 2022 like? What are the things that I'm grateful for in 2022? And what is it I'm looking forward to in 2023? And then throughout 2023, rather than necessarily doing a journal entry every day, as something amazing happens, I'll write it down. I'm in a state of gratitude, I'll write it down. A couple of days ago was my grandbaby's first birthday. I'll write it down in my journal. But I actually have already started writing something which I believe will turn out into a book. Probably it might take me a year to do it, but I want to put something in a book form. And what's come to me is writing about thriving and surviving after a divorce. Because there are so many men and women who go through divorce and they feel that it's the end of their story. And it is not. So I felt led towards, as soon as I published my last book, my weight loss book, I felt led to write something about how I went from being broken to absolutely thriving in every aspect of my life, romantically, financially, business-wise, spiritually, in every way, thriving. So divorce, job loss, I've had foreclosures, I've had many losses, but I never gave up. I kept persevering and kept pursuing. And right now I can say I am at a good place and thriving in every aspect of my life. And I want to share that.
That is awesome. That is very, very cool. When you started journaling, is there a way that you went about it? Do you get advices on it? Because I know a lot of people write things down, but I wonder if there's a formula way to do journaling, to actually have more of a
Cathartic kind of moment.
Oh, yes, twinsies. Cathartic moment.
I like to have quiet moments before I go to sleep at night. So like the last 45 minutes or so, I don't want to be in any conversation with anyone. I'm not watching TV. I'm not on social media. I'm in that quiet time. And that's usually when things come to me. It could be a moment of gratitude for when I look back at when I was broke, right, to now I have some money in the bank, for example. I look back at when I was very sick and ready to do pain, and now I can do squats, things like that. So I'll do gratitude journaling. Something wonderful happened, like my grandson's first birthday, I'll put that on because the parents didn't think that they were going to be able to have children, and look at him, he's a year old. So things just kind of come to my mind, come to my spirit, and I write them down. That's actually how I think that the fourth book I write is how it is. Not I think, that's how it's been. I've been writing a little bit each night just before I go to sleep, and things just come to me and I just write it down.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, well, we're going to take a very quick break and we will be right back with Drinking with Authors.
Sample locally sourced, quality distilled spirits in the beautiful Columbia River Gorge. At Skunk Brothers Distillery, we're family owned, brewing small batch grain to bottle spirits, just like our grandfather did back in the Prohibition era. From handcrafted bourbons and moonshine to flavored blends and cordials infused with local fruit. Join us for a tasting tour and buy Skunk Brothers spirits straight from the source.
It's all in the family at Skunk Brothers Spirits, located in Stevenson, Washington.
That took a moment. I was like, is she coming on? Is she going to tell me it's recording? The AI god of Zoom. Okay, so Marva, let's talk a little bit about your, because you've got on now and you're published, but you kind of had to enter the world of marketing and stuff like that. The great, wonderful world of marketing your book, because amazingly, it doesn't just appear and everybody buys it, which would be nice, but not quite how it works right now. So, what was your what has that journey been like for you as you've stepped into, I have to shamelessly self-promote myself?
That is such a great question. Okay, so when I decided to self-publish, because my friend, the children's author told me, she said, you can self-publish, you don't have to pay anything to Amazon, blah, 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 blah. So I signed up for Amazon webinars so I could learn. And in the webinars, they said, listen, writing the book is hard, but it's not the hardest thing. The hardest thing is going to be to market your books, to market your book. Now, I had never been on social media. My sister was always on Facebook before Facebook was Facebook, and that social media and the other social media, but I'd never been on them. I always wanted to keep my life private. I didn't need to feel that I needed to be on social media, and I just wasn't. But Amazon said, you've got to be on social media because that's where everybody is.
True.
So when my book first came out, I put my camera in front of me. I did a little video with myself on my book. I opened a Facebook account, an Instagram account, and I uploaded it, and I started sending. Once I got on Facebook, I saw all these people that I knew, and they said, you can send friend requests, friend requests, friend requests. I just needed a few friends, okay? And they all text me or something and said, are you on Facebook? Or is it
They're like, is this really you, or did somebody steal your picture? That happens. So it's smart of your friends to ask that question.
And that's how I started. In fact, to be honest with you, most of my sales are driven through Facebook. Not necessarily friends or family, but folks that see me on Facebook or know my sister or somebody on Facebook, and they were the first 20 or so who bought my books. And even now, most of my books are sold through folks that I know or interact with, not necessarily know, but are Facebook friends with, or they follow me or something, and they see what my mission is, and they're the ones that buy my book, and they're the repeat customers. They bought my first book, they bought my second book, and they buy my third book. So Facebook is big for me. I'm on Instagram. I haven't quite figured out the algorithm with Instagram. I've had a couple sales.
It's always changing.
It's always changing. It's difficult to follow. And on Facebook, I started a group, because I had joined some groups that were like health and wellness groups, and they weren't allowing me to post my books and stuff like that, or because I'm plant-based eater, my plant-based food and stuff. And one lady said, well, start your own group. So I did. And I have over 700 people in it. And those are some of my customers. I started a YouTube channel. I have over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm on TikTok.
How has that been for somebody who's not technologically savvy? Let's take a moment to discuss that, shall we? So how was that for you?
Yeah, TikTok is a little slow, but I still stay on TikTok. I think I have 130 followers on TikTok. I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on YouTube. Like I said, every day I try to drop a video on YouTube, and I have over 1,000 subscribers. And I'm always on Instagram, on Facebook. I've set up my Instagram, so whatever I post on Instagram flows into Facebook. And I'm in some Facebook groups with like-minded women, authors, and I post on it. So I just set aside strategic times to post my book, and I do videos and that kind of, but I'm not just posting about my book. I'm posting recipes. I'm posting myself working out, myself having fun, things like that. So folks get to know me and trust what
if you only posted about your book, you wouldn't have that many followers, because
that's
it. One thing I think a lot of people, we don't actually cover that very much, but you can talk about your books, but people want to get to know the author, want to have a community, and not want to walk in and try to be sold something every time they walk in. Especially a lot of times people on your pages have bought your book, and that's how they found you, is they've already bought one of the books and then they find you.
Yes.
You know, so you can't be like, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, buy my, you know, like it doesn't work.
They want something more.
That's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So are you still a nurse? Or where are you at nurse wise?
Okay, so I think once you're a nurse, Danielle,
you're always a nurse. You're always a nurse.
So long as you're always a nurse, you can keep your nursing license forever. You don't ever have to surrender it, but you can make it inactive. For example, if you're not working in the hospital or nursing home or rehab or wherever, you can make it inactive, but you're still a licensed registered nurse. So I am a licensed registered nurse. And 5 years, I lived in South Florida, which is where I practiced nursing for most of my nursing life. And I've been a registered nurse since 1998. I was an LPN, licensed practical nurse, for a couple of years before that. 5 years ago, we moved to Georgia. And since I came to Georgia, my husband and I kind of branched off into a little bit of some other business. We went in the real estate business. And so I have put nursing in a facility on hold. So in terms of nursing, I'm doing what a real nurse should do, is to educate people, to educate myself, to research and learn, so that I in turn can pass the information on to people to help them to become well and to stay well, to become fit and to stay fit, to lose the weight and to keep it off for good.
Very
cool.
cool.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that
I
was my thing.
Danielle, I'm sure you have similar.
Yeah, personal training, kept going, kept educating, kept learning, different certifications, things like that. I just think once you're a nurse, your desire to continue to teach and improve the quality of life for people, you just never lose it. Or at least that's what I found as a nurse.
Yes. Absolutely. So long as you went into nursing for the love of the trade, for the love of people. And some folks, a handful, might have gone into nursing because, you know, it's one of those professions that you will always have a job. But I believe that most nurses go into nursing because nurses don't make a lot of money. People think nurses make a lot of money. We do not. And the nurse is the nucleus of the health industry. No nurse, nothing goes on, but we don't make much money. And but nurses are compassionate, kind people.
We're just overworked.
Overworked, yes, and underpaid.
And underpaid. That's the issue. I do have one question for you. Does your book cover, or will you write a book about the holistic views on menopause? Because I know that's a hot button issue right now with bioidentical hormones, hormone replacement therapy. Do you touch on that subject as someone who went into menopause early? Is that something that you're going to touch on, or did you touch on in your books?
I have touched on it in my first book, the Eat, Sleep, Meditate, A Nurse's Guide to Health. Not in detail, but I've touched on it because I went through menopause early, and I probably had every menopausal symptom known to any woman, from a head to toe. The depression, the sleepless nights, I would fall asleep at midnight and wake up at 2:00, and that was it. And that went on and on and on. I would have the joint pains, the hot flashes, the dry eyes, you know, the vaginal dryness, loss of libido completely, the dry skin. I lost my hair. My hair was all the way down in my back. I lost almost all of it. You know, the palpitations, the trouble breathing, just a lot of stuff, stuffiness and all that. But what I found is that once I changed my lifestyle, once I started eating mainly plants, eliminate dairy, minimize meat or anything that comes from animal-based, chicken or even fish, nothing flesh. I just went straight plant-based for years. And then I incorporated exercising. I started prioritizing sleep, getting a minimum of 7 to 8 hours of sleep, figured out ways to decrease my stress and enjoy life and spend time in nature with sunlight. Then all those menopausal symptoms started resolving. And then some key herbs like valerian root that I would use, or
black cohosh.
I never used black cohosh. I didn't, but teas like thyme tea and raw foods, raw green juicing and things like that. All of that helped me to heal my body naturally without really having to take any supplements or anything like that. And another quick thing is that I tried acupuncture, acupressure, you know, massage, you know, essential oils, all those things that involve the holistic approach, prayer, meditation, journaling, all those help me because, you know, the mind, the body, and the spirit work together. So we have to address whatever health issues we have from a holistic standpoint.
Interesting. Cool.
Very cool. So talk again about your next book, right? What are you looking to do there?
The next one that I will be publishing?
Yes.
I think I would like to make it perhaps into a fiction kind of a book. Not necessarily Marva Riley being the name character, but Daniel Jones, the next character or something. I'd like to make it somewhat fictional, even though it'll be my story. I think it might appeal to people, not necessarily because I'm hiding, but that's where my thoughts are of going back perhaps to when my ex-husband, my children's dad, and I met at a young age, and the romance part of it, and the children, and what we did, and the career, And then when I lost everything, because I lost everything to foreclosure and divorce and everything, I had nothing. I'm a nurse. I had 2 jobs. And I remember when I was ready to move out, I did not even have first, last, and security rent.
Oh, wow.
I did not have that. So I was making money because I had 2 jobs, killing myself. That's another thing that I would never do again. But I was bent on sending my kids to college debt-free. And so I held on 2 jobs. As Daniel knows, we nurses tend to do that sometimes. And so I want to bring people through those stages. And then I want to show them that even though you lose everything, whatever it is, because I had lost my health, I lost my family, I lost friends, like you said, during after divorce, even family members who, because I left, they blamed me, but they didn't know the story, right? And I want to show people that even though you lose everything, you can really come back and thrive, because at this point in my life, I'm not rich, but I'm also not broke. Okay. And I'm not sick anymore. I'm good. I'm just at a very good place in my life. And I want to bring people to show them that from brokenness can come thrive. And you can just, there's no limit to what you can become if you stay the course and not give up.
I think that's fantastic. Have you written any fiction stories yet? Or because you seem to be one of those people that dives in and learns how to do something. Like you're like, I'm going to learn how to do this myself, which is amazing. Have you taken any courses on that yet?
I haven't taken any courses on how to write fiction. I figure I'll just put my thoughts on paper, and then I probably won't use the same editor. I'll probably try to find myself a couple editors that have edited multiple fictional books to help me kind of work things through with this one. So that's why I believe it's going to probably take me a year or more to write this one, because my other books are short books. Because folks don't like to read long books, as far as I know. But I know the fiction needs to be probably twice the size of the health and wellness books that I have published. So
it just depends on the genre, and you can also do novellas. A lot of people do that. So don't limit yourself depending on the story and how you want to do it with the characters.
Okay.
Because it's a lot of fun. And I would find, because you've already found a bunch of stuff, I'd find some writers groups and stuff like that, and find some critique groups. And I'm not a huge fan of critique groups all the time, but if you can find a group of authors that are supportive and wonderful and amazing and stuff like that, they really will help you to grow your writing, to a higher level and stuff like that.
And how does one find those groups?
I would look up writing groups in your area. You can do it on Facebook, like writing groups in the city you live in and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then you can also look to see if the local libraries have anything like that, and just Google that area, because you'd be surprised how many little writing groups are around. But for I think pretty obvious reasons, they don't run around going, I'm a writing group. They meet, and they meet locally, and sometimes they meet virtually, especially ever since COVID, a lot more of them meet virtually. But there are so many amazing people, and especially that we hear on the podcast, that have gone through the writing journey because of a group of people that they found, or another writer friend that keeps them accountable. Because sometimes, it is a very solitary but non-solitary work, because you need all these other people, editors, typesetters, all these other people to be in your world, proofreaders, beta readers. But at the same time, you're kind of by yourself when you're writing. So finding even one other person to be a writing sort of companion with can be pretty amazing, and helpful. So
I'm definitely going to look into that, because It's amazing that you said that, because I have a friend, another nurse who has, since I published my first book in 2020, she has authored one herself, her memoir, which is doing very well, because she was a victim of sexual abuse as a child. And she's written around that. And then she's co-authored 3 other books with some tribe members in a group that she's linked up with. And they're doing very well in that group. They have editors and beta readers and all that. So they're not taking anybody else. So that's why I'm not in it. But it's interesting that you've said that. I'm definitely going to look into it. And yeah, it's a brilliant idea. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I absolutely would, because I think that's super important, you know. Oh, what is the other question, Danielle?
I have another medical question. Sorry, Erica.
That's okay.
Regarding the cardiac myopathy, what was the cause of it? What was the pathophysiology behind it when you were diagnosed?
Well, the thing is that it was idiopathic, that meaning that they did not know what the cause of it was. But what was happening, well, maybe I should back up a little bit. They did know. There's a part of my heart that was overly excited. It was the electrical part of my heart was not functioning properly.
You had an EPS?
I did, yes. I did an EPS study, and they found that there was an area from my heart that was overly excited. So I was having what's called ventricular tachycardia. My heart was going like that. And what eventually could have happened is that my heart would just get really crazy, and then eventually it could just stop and I would die. And because my heart, rather than, beating on a regular basis, it was beating irregularly, that weakened the muscles of my heart. So a normal heart muscle it's supposed to be like heart muscle strength, or heart muscle strength is supposed to be 55 or greater. Mine was 30 to 35. Okay, it's called the ejection fraction. The strength at which the heart is pumping to pump the blood to the body. Mine was at 30 to 35. So I was walking around feeling dizzy, lightheaded, no energy. I would walk to the end of the room, sit. I had no energy. I had no energy to hang out with my kids. I couldn't go to the games. I was just feeling sick all the time. So at that time I worked in the recovery room at a large hospital, and one of my coworkers, a nurse who was more seasoned nurse than I was, said, you should go see an electrophysiologist, because the regular cardiologist was treating me as if the heart muscle was the problem. But the heart muscle weakness was related to the electrical problem, right? So when I went to see the electrophysiologist, he actually said to me, this is not unusual for women your age. I was 38. He said, I see it, but it's correctable. So he did a cardiac ablation where he went in and burned that area of the heart that was overly excited. And he said to me, maybe you have to repeat it in successful. When I went back 2 weeks after that for my checkup, he said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go home and flush all those medications that you were on down the toilet. I want you to change the way you eat. You need to start eating healthily. Because even though we're nurses, it doesn't necessarily mean we know what healthy eating is. And I thought I was eating healthily, but I never knew what it meant to eat a salad. Because I'm from Jamaica, we generally don't eat salads. Okay? And
really?
No, we generally don't eat salad. We'll eat other vegetables, steamed vegetables, but not every day either. It's like white rice and meat, that kind of thing. And also he said, I want you to walk for 30 minutes every single day. He said, get rid of coffee, get rid of anything with caffeine. You need to lower your stress level and make sleep a priority. But because I was so desperate to feel well, I followed the doctor's orders to the T. And when I went back 3 months after that to get the echocardiogram done, which is an ultrasound of the heart, which measures the muscle function of the heart, my ejection fraction, which was 30 to 35%, had gone up to 55%. And I was able to do a treadmill test, actually run up a treadmill, incline, and the doctors were just amazed just by my changing my lifestyle. I am 60 years old right now. I know lifestyle works because I'm 60 and I was never able to jog. I can jog right now. I can exercise every single day. I get up and I have energy because I've prioritized my lifestyle, because health is so important to me. I cannot afford to go back to where I was. And that's why I write books, and that's why I do interviews, and that's why I have my YouTube channel, because I share all these things with people, tips, how you can get healthy and stay healthy, get fit, stay fit, lose weight, keep it all for good. Because I've been there, I've lived it.
I love that so much. Okay, so let's do a little shameless self-promotion. Marva, where can people find your books? And where can people follow you?
Okay, my books, all of my books are available on Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble, my website, rnmarvariley.com. The ebook is $4.99, paperback is $9.99. And I am on all social media platforms. Like I said before, I am on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I have a Facebook group that I call The Doctor in You, and we take anyone who is interested in, making their health better. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, and LinkedIn under the name Marva Riley. I also have a website, rnmarvariley.com. I do a monthly, probably daily blog on my website. And I send out a free monthly health and wellness newsletter. So one can also sign up for my free monthly health and wellness newsletter on my website, rnmarvariley.com.
That is amazing. Marva, you've been so much fun to have on this show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Danielle and Erica. You guys were amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hey guys, so this has been Drinking with Authors. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. I have to think about
There you go.
Yes. So my co-host today has been Danielle Orsina. Our guest has been Marva Riley, and we will see you guys next time.